Good evening, everyone. This is Henry Gambell with SimplerOptions.com, and in today's free video I wanted to look at a topic that came across as a question today, and it's a fairly common question but something I thought I could speak to, and that is, how do you help time your entries a little bit better, or how do you focus on getting a good entry? You know, it's kind of the same topic, and there's a couple different ways to do it. Two of the main things that come to mind for me, I guess I would say that there's two fields of study that I would put at the top of this list, and the first of which is symmetry. So we're looking at Apple here today, and Apple's a very interesting example because it's currently holding its decisions so well. If we come in and remove our studies, so we are just focused on pure price, because one thing that's tough to get into, or I think a lot of beginning traders find themselves doing, is chasing moves. You know, you want to buy it after it starts looking good, and of course that's never a good entry. So you have to try and time that entry when things don't look quite so favorable. And Apple, I think that's kind of a fair argument right now. You know, price does not look especially thrilling at this area, but notice the relationship between symmetry. So what we're measuring is symmetry in time, or days that we have traded, and its relationship also to price. So how far have we declined from the previous swing high, and how long have we taken to do that? In Thinkorswim, you can find these tools by going into just your typical drawing tools, and these are two of the primary fib pieces that I use with this work. So for the first piece, I would take a look at the swing high to swing low, and then compare that to the correction that you've gone through here. And this is just simply a point value comparison, and it's to say if Apple has fallen X number of dollars and then gone on to rally, for a very significant move, let's say that it can't happen again here, where it's had exactly the same pullback, and this is the area that you have to consider this in. So this is one step of that type of analysis. The other way that you can do it is to complement that with the move in time. So we're going to take the exact same concept, but instead of measuring a dollar value, we're going to measure a movement in time. So we'd say it took X number of days for this correction to happen, and then if we project that from the high, you can see how right there in that vicinity that this is the time to start considering it for a move higher. So that's one of the things that comes to mind as you think about trying to perfect your entries, is buying it at areas where you actually have a little bit of an edge, as opposed to saying, okay, now that it's already made the move, then start getting excited about it. So that's one way. The next thing you might look at and say, well, that's nice because Apple fits all of that criteria so clearly, but what about a ticker that doesn't? PayPal is a name that we've had in focus for a while now, and there's not a lot of really great examples of symmetry in this. Just to save you, going back and looking at all of them, it's just to say, if you can't really pick out good symmetry in time or price on a chart, then begin to consider your moving average relationships. The ones that I like the most on the daily chart are the 8 and the 21, and you can see the idea. It's a little bit easier when that zone expands out because it gives you a place to focus on really buying it, but it's to say that when you come down into this area, that would be a place to consider buying PayPal. When you're trading in that zone again, you can see how if you just had one moving average, it can make it tough to make a decision against that. But if you can find two that you like, it helps create that zone, and as you try to buy down in that area in bullish or bearish trends, you would just flip it, of course, but that's another way to try to keep yourself away from buying the highs and instead evaluate an entry at a point where you may have an edge. So I hope that helps, gives you a couple of tickers to consider for at least the next 10 days, and we'll see you at the next free video.